Hi everybody, welcome to Weekly Shonen Jump 2026, issue number 22/23. This is a combined issue, which means there is no Jump next week. And normally I would say in typical combined issue fashion, we have a group cover, but no, instead we have just Sakamoto days. I don't know what happened. I heard some people say that this might have been a scheduling problem, like they messed up the schedule of the covers. They forgot that there was a combined issue this week. But that's a damn shame. And on top of that, this cover is just really basic. It's just not very interesting. Like, yeah, I know there's live action Sakamoto there as well, but that's just not terribly exciting to me. I mean, could be a good movie. I don't know. But I don't really find this too interesting or fun to look at. It's just, it's a cover. I don't know. It's also about the most basic pose you could possibly ask for Sakamoto days, so there's also that. In other news, the Jump Press event is coming up. It's tonight for me, or well, no, like tomorrow morning, I guess. So can't talk about it here, which means I will more than likely have a separate video out during the week to talk about all the news, because I mean, I won't be able to talk about it next weekend either because there's no Jump to talk about. So I'll be talking about it sometime this week, hopefully, unless there's like no news worth talking about, but I really don't expect that to be the case. So look forward to that. That'll be fun. All right, let's go ahead and check out this issue.
Get this man a gun.
Sakamoto is chapter 257, Genius. I know I did the whole bit last week, and I did honestly think about doing it again, but I won't. I don't care for this fight at all. The best part of the chapter for me was this color page where we got to see Nagumo versus Gaku again, which won first place in the best fight poll. They don't show the further results here. I'm gonna have to look at that later. I'm really curious to see what got, second and onward place. All we get to see is first. Cool color page. And then just a lot of nonsense that I don't care about. And we end off with Tenkyu coming back, who is a character that I actually quite enjoy. So that's cool, but this fight all around just feels like, all right, let's throw all the characters that nobody really cares about all in one room and see what happens. Tenkyu did have a presence for a little while. I think he has like somewhat of a fan base. I know all of these characters have somewhat of a fan base. And I mean, of all of them, I guess I like him the most, so I guess I'll take something here. But overall, this ain't it. I do not care about anything I read here. This is just so beyond what I care about in Sakamoto days. So this ain't doing it for me. Each of the Wish, chapter 80, Traitor. Not a bad chapter. I liked the story about the Toxoterror magic. That was actually surprisingly really engaging. I just thought that was a cool idea, like having this magic turn itself in because, it's friendly with humans, but it realizes that it itself is like a massive danger to society if it were to be acquired. But then Fujimine just kind of ruins everything. And then we have this part did disappoint me just a little bit. You have this whole build-up of the Magic Keepers being like, all right, one of these top-ranking witches is a problem. They're a traitor working with Fujimine. We got to figure this out. And then literally a page later, they just reveal who it is. I thought that was lame as hell. I would love to see like a actual, detective case where we have to figure out which one is pulling the strings, which one's feeding information to Fujimine and helping from the inside. But instead, we just have a more direct approach where we immediately see who's doing it in a very blunt fashion. Just right there, boom, no questioning it. The shoe could drop where another one is also aiding her, but I kind of doubt that's the case. And of course it is Amaduro, who is a character we have seen before. I remember her. It's been a while, but she was involved in one of the earlier arcs. I think it was when Ichi was like, he was given like that trial or whatever to pass. I think it was around when the World Hater magic first showed up. I think. I could be wrong, but that's where I remember her being. So, sure. I don't know. It's kind of lame. I really thought we were going to get some kind of grand mystery and conspiracy happening here, but no. Just seeing it straight up. Seems like we're kind of just turning up the pace on this arc. We're just going for it. We're gunning it. And I guess I'm down. I mean, I'm down for a fast-paced, like action-focused arc. I think that'll be cool. I am just a little bummed out about how little time we were given to actually like wallow in the mystery of it all. We literally get a page. Like if you even start theorizing, like I stopped for a second. I looked at that page of all the witches, and I was just like, which one could it be? I just looked through all of them. I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's that old one. Like you never trust the old one. But no, just see it immediately. It is what it is. I don't know. But it was a fine chapter. My favorite part was the Toxic Terror, like backstory. I thought that was a really neat little story. One Piece chapter 1181, God and Devil. Not a whole lot to say about this one, admittedly. It's just a continuation of the Emu and Loki fight, and it's cool. We learn a little bit more about Emu's powers, which is interesting, and I like the scene where he's just shouting for Joy Boy, even though he is not involved at all. Luffy is not involved in this at all right now. Always on his mind, rent-free. And also the little hint of fear in his eyes, or at least shock when he sees Nidhogg. Or Needhog, or how, I don't know how to say it, whatever, that thing. He does look very shocked and surprised. It's just, it's further building up anticipation for the eventual Joy Boy flashback where we get to see what that insane crew or just group of individuals were like whenever they probably, fought against Emu all the way back then. Yeah, really cool stuff. Just mostly action, but it was really cool action, so nice. Class 2B Hero Destroyerz, Chapter 2, Bathrooms times X equals Demon King Commode. So I guess this is the formula for chapter titles we're going with. It's peak, I fear. This is such a fun series. I just love reading every single page of it. It's so effortlessly funny. I know this is the same exact stuff I was saying last week, but it still reigns true. Admittedly, this may be an odd one to talk about week to week because even though I enjoyed this so much, I do find myself with very little to say about it other than just the jokes were funny. I think the reveal we got of him looking the way he does in like, what was it, 5th grade or something? Or 4th grade, actually. That's hilarious. Just learning more about Akira and stuff is fun. It's cool to get more lore about this guy because he is a very interesting existence, that's for sure. I think the big takeaway here is that just everything already feels iconic. Like this feels like a thing that will be popular and we will look back at these moments fondly in the future. Like, the good old days of Class 2B Hero Destroyerz, which, by the way, a lot of people mentioned this last week, but yes, that name is pretty bad. It's not a very good title. It doesn't really roll off the tongue. I imagine most people will just end up calling this Hero Destroyerz, probably the name that will stick more than anything. But I don't know. It's not a great title. I don't think you necessarily need a good title to thrive. There are plenty of other series with not great titles that have taken off. I mean, look at like any isekai series in the world. All of those titles are awful. Yeah, another great chapter. Had so much fun. Loved it. Continuing to love it. Fantastic series, and I'm so glad it's here. It makes the magazine feel more complete. Someone Hertz chapter 31, There Were This Many People. Loved this chapter. This was a really, really good one, I thought. I love the little moment of them being recognized by the person they help in the crowd, or the kid they help in the crowd. That was a cute little moment. And then running into I do not remember the host's name, either of their names, but the one mid guy, the shorter one with like the bags under his eyes. It's cool that they got to have an encounter again. I was like kind of hoping that he would remember them, but that just sounds ridiculous. Like there's just no way. And I appreciate that. It's realistic. Like, yeah, they saw each other like one time, but that is not enough to to probably make a lasting impression, especially when you're somebody that's actually like famous and you see so many people every day. Yeah, just lots of sweet little moments, and then capping it off with getting into this stadium and starting the concert, which I'm still not 100% sure what that means. Like what is a concert in this case? I assume it's going to be more like a comedy show rather than a concert, but we'll see. And it was a nice little moment of, the two of them just realizing Mime already knew, but I guess more so Mizuho just being like, wow, so many people listen to the same thing that we do. It's a nice little bonding moment, and I am very excited to see how this turns out. This is just cool. We're getting more directly involved with their hobby, getting to see the people in person in a big crowd. I'm assuming something's going to happen. I bet there's going to be a moment where they take people up on stage and they're probably going to get called up because it's a manga. I mean, of course. But who knows? Maybe not. This manga has been doing a really realistic approach Sometimes. I guess it is a little ridiculous about how many people that listen to the show like live in their town. But where it counts, I feel like this series does take a more grounded approach in its events. There's been very few times where I've been taken out of it because it's just like, oh, that's too convenient, which I think is impressive for a series like this. I don't know how this will go, but I'm excited to see it regardless. I thought this is a really cool concept and chapter all around. Good stuff. Witch Watch Chapter 245, Bone Crisis Part 14. I've said Bone Crisis Part 14 times now. That's crazy. And it'll only keep rising. Doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon. Really cool chapter. I've gone on record several times in the past to say that I'm not really a huge fan of when Witch Watch gets serious and action focused, but this is definitely the best it has ever been in terms of doing exactly that. This is really engaging and interesting. I love what's going on with Kanji right now. Like, it's very fitting for him, you know, because he's always the one that gets the short end of the stick in a comedic way, and to now see him also dealing with like the most insane shit in a serious situation it's both like mildly funny in a way, because it is sort of playing into the bit of just like, wow, Kanji just always gets the short end of the stick. But it's also kind of, this is presented pretty serious, so it's more like a serious culmination of a running bit, which I think is an interesting approach. And that panel, or the page, I guess, of the big thing just climbing on the boat really accentuates how fucked Kanji's whole situation is. Then the stuff with Wolf was great too. I thought there was some really dynamic action panels that looked really great. That double page spread is really clean. And now we get Wolf going all out. His transformation, I guess, longer hair, Dragon Ball style. It's really cool. I'm very excited to see where this goes. This is the most engaged I have been with a Witch Watch like action focused section of the story. So I'm down, I'm curious, and I'm all in. Very impressed. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, Chapter 90, Memories of Mama. This was a really good chapter, I thought. So the first thing I want to mention is this Helza Mama character. Did anybody, I don't know how long a lot of you have been reading Jump, like the whole magazine, if any of you have, or like what series you've read, whatever, you know, yada yada. But if anybody remembers an old Axe series called Mama Yu, this character, I mean, in name as well, reminded me so much of Mama from that character, from that series, like both in design, proportions, and attitude. It's just very similar. I almost wonder if it's like an actual reference to it. It could be, I don't know. But she was really cool. It was a really nice character. They did the whole classic trope where it's honestly just gotten hilarious. It's the whole thing where, you know, it's a happy moment, the character's alive and talking, and then the next page, oh, she's dead. You see like the big picture funeral thing, which I guess they also do in the demon world. Although I just realized she's like, instead of flowers and stuff, it looks like there are flowers in the background, but it's mostly bones, like skeletons. That's fun. But yeah, just a classic trope, which seriously, at this point, I've seen this exact page turn more times than I can possibly imagine. And my only reaction to it at this point is just to laugh. No matter where I see it, from what time period, I just laugh because it's so abundantly common in manga. I'm pretty sure this exact series has done it before, back in the one flashback with Sakaki. I'm pretty sure they did the same thing. I could be misremembering, but whatever. It's not a complaint. It's funny. This is so ridiculously common. Anyhow, Helzabobo is not down. I called this last week. He is still definitely up, and he looks insane. So we're entering a new proper final phase of the fight, and I'm pretty excited to see how it goes. I really like this character. I'm hoping, again, that somehow he sticks around, but this particular development has kind of made me start thinking maybe he won't, but still holding on to hope. I really like Helzabobo, and I want to see him do more. They've even given us some sympathy for him now, so, I mean, he still could stick around. I don't know. We'll see. It could go either way. But, yeah, really good chapter. I thought this was great. Kagurabachi Chapter 120, The Irishima Talks, Part 4. Amazing chapter, honestly. This was so cool. The incredible action scenes just continue to persist in the series. That is no surprise, but they are just so masterfully done, and it's so impressive. I know I've talked about this many times, but it's just so insanely impressive how young Hokozona is, and to be pulling off insane paneling like this, it's just so cool. It's one of those chapters, and I know it's because it's on the horizon, but it just made me think like an anime adaptation is going to be pretty cool. And now that is not to discredit the manga because I've praised it many times. The manga looks incredible. It flows really well. You don't need an anime, but the way Hokazono's action flows will lend itself really well to animation. It's practically like the storyboards are already there. They just got to animate it. And that's so cool. I'm very excited to see so many of these moments animated. Obviously, what we're seeing right now is likely years away, but there's a lot before this that I'm very excited to see as well. Really cool stuff. I just love the attitude and vibe of this whole fight. It's so entertaining. Stakes feel high. It's great to see Shiba involved in a fight, like proper. I know it's still kind of the supporting role that we're used to seeing, but he feels like he's more on the front lines for this one, which is really cool. And it's something I hope translates into the present whenever we get there. I really want to see Shiba take a more active role because he took such a backseat for so long. Yeah, super cool chapter. Loved it.
He did the Monster Man.
Roku's House of Oddities, Chapter 4, The Sachiko Boogie. I'm very happy to say that I've turned around on this series. I think this is really good stuff. It's done a lot in these 2 chapters to make me understand it more and be a lot more on board with what it's doing. The first 2 chapters were abysmal examples of what the series can be and what it's capable of. These have been so much better. So as I predicted last week, we're going to keep getting these one-on-one chapters where we're focusing in on one of the curses or ghosts, whatever the hell they are, at a time. So this week we get Sachiko, and she's great. This is such a better introduction to her. I love how she's so passionate about manga, and I love Roku's equal enthusiasm about the topic. It's very relatable because, yeah, I get that feeling too when I get to talk about manga with somebody for an extended period of time. It's fun. And then learning a little bit more about her as a curse. She's a school curse, whatever that means. I'm assuming it just means whenever she's out of school, she's going to regain her memories or something like that, because she's a totally different person when she was in that school. So a little bit of intrigue there too, which is interesting, hinting at something more serious, which, could be going for a Witch Watch type of thing, where we do get some serious plot lines every once in a while, but it is still primarily a gag manga. I will say though, tonally, this chapter felt a little less funny than it's been. It still had funny moments, but it was more like sweet than it was funny, which isn't a bad thing. Really good stuff. I actually really enjoyed this chapter. I'm very happy to say that. This is really growing on me very quickly. Drawn to the Fire, Chapter 3, Creating Sparks. So on the flip side of what I was just talking about with Roku's House of Oddities, this series I'm kind of having a hard time getting into, but I'm not writing it off. I think I just need to let it cook a little bit. This is something I've talked about in the past, but the beginning of sports series, unless you're Slam Dunk, that's like the one exception, are just pretty lackluster usually. I feel it's just, we're getting into it, we're learning teams and dynamics and all that, and this is no exception. This is, at least feels different from the last 2 chapters, because I previously said chapter 1 and 2 just kind of felt like an extension of each other. This does feel like an actual chapter, like this is a self-contained thing for the most part, sort of, kind of, how it goes. But yeah, we're meeting like rival characters. We're meeting another team, showing off, flexing to them, and blowing their minds. It's a classic, early showcase of what a team's capable of. This happens in every sports series ever made, just to varying degrees of success. And here I think it's, it's so-so. I thought it was a cool moment. The dunk was cool, but I didn't really feel a whole lot towards it. But I don't know. It's just a weird mixed bag with the series so far. I can't really figure out what it would take to win me over, to be honest. Like, I just need to understand what this series is trying to say more, because I'm not on its page yet, but we'll see. I'm not giving up on it by any means. It's far too early for that, especially for a sports series. But I still just can't shake that feeling of like, man, this is not the one. Like, this is not going to be the sports series that takes off. And I know this isn't like all sports. It is also just about people. Like, this isn't, I've seen some people compare this to Blue Box, and yes and no. This is far more sports focused than Blue Box ever was. This is definitely more sports and less characters. But maybe it does have a balance, honestly. I don't know. It's hard for me to really get the full picture. I need to see more of it. All in all, it's fine so far. I don't hate it or anything. I'm just not really there with it yet. Hopefully I'll get there though. There's potential. Akane-banashi Chapter 204, The Effortless Realm. Okay, so it's not the Rakugo-verse that I thought it was. This is actually something different. And they actually have to like spell it out for us, because I feel like the editors were like, hey, this is kind of similar to the Rakugo verse. You might want to like actually call attention to that and say that this is different, because visually it's very much the same, but it's a different concept. It's this idea of her just basically being so lost in the world that she's more so looking into it and just saying what the characters are saying rather than performing it. It's just like she is a medium to allow these characters to speak through her, which is a really cool concept. To be honest, not as cool as the Rakugo verse, because the Rakugo verse was like her whole thing. It felt very original to her. But this is just like, this is more like a natural step. Like I feel like every Rakugoka would get to a point like this at some point where they can just, it's like, you know, it's so natural to them that they can just do it without thinking. And then we have the tease at the end about, you know, Akane's God of Death really begins here with that big, cool double page spread. Very interesting. Can't wait to see where this goes. But what this chapter did for me is it made the fact really sink in that I think Akane might lose, actually. I feel like this is going to be one of those things where she learns more from this than she actually succeeds at doing. Like, obviously, people are blown away in the crowd. This is really impressive. But I feel like Kaisei will come on and it'll just be a more coherent experience. Whereas Akane is kind of using this performance to learn. Like during this performance is where this whole effortless realm came from. It's not like she had this before. She just entered it and started like, I don't know, halfway or whatever into the performance, performing this way. So I feel like it'll be viewed as imperfect or something along those lines. It's not a perfected craft. She utilized this skill too early or something and it didn't land. Or maybe this ending won't land. I don't know. Maybe this is going to be like too challenging for an audience, something like that. Whereas I feel Kaisei will have a more safe maybe not the right word, but a more coherent experience that will win pretty much everybody over. So yeah, I really liked this chapter. That was great, but it's definitely backing up a lot of people's theories about Akane maybe losing this match, which is sad. But if it happens, it happens. See how it goes. Really good stuff, though. It's also very cool to have the anime episode that just aired. Well, I think actually it's 2 ago now, but they just had the first Kaisei encounter and seeing him perform for the first time, and now here we are in the manga doing this. It's also funny to watch the anime and see how small scale Akane's performances are, and now seeing this, it's a hilarious contrast. Like she's literally performing in front of like 3 people in a retirement home in the episode we just watched, and now here she is on this massive event in front of, admittedly, probably not like that many people because it's a cruise ship. This isn't like her biggest venue, but in terms of actual scope and like importance of the performance, this is massive. Hima-Ten, Chapter 88, A Date with Honoka. Hima-Ten got a color page for the first time in a very long time, it feels like. Maybe not. When was the last time, man? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. It feels like it's been a while. And it's not the most exciting color page in the world, but I do respect that it's Ie Mori and not one of the girls. That's actually insane for a romance series to have the main dude as the only character on the color page. Props to you for that. That is actually almost unheard of. Literally nobody even around him. It's just him. That's crazy. Anyway, this chapter, God, I don't know. It's really just a basic date. Like, this is pretty much how any date chapter goes in a romance series. There's nothing, like, it even does the photo trope, like, wow, I snapped a natural photo of you and that's the best one I took today. Oh, how many times have you guys seen that? Be honest. 50,000 at least, maybe 100,000. All very typical. And then she invites him over to her house at the end, you know, classic. Ooh, what's gonna happen? Nothing's gonna happen. You all know it. It was just whatever. I mean, you know, I don't like Honoka very much. I've made that very clear. She's just the least interesting of the bunch, and this chapter did not help at all. It's just a basic ass first date, and maybe that's intentional. Maybe we're supposed to be feeling this way. I don't know. And all the while, Ie Mori is struggling internally. He's still thinking about another woman while on a date with this one. That's crazy. I don't know. This guy's got problems. He's got to figure this out. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a whatever chapter. I just don't really care about this date or this character, so didn't really do a whole lot for me.
Doctor, doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case of...
Under Doctor Chapter 14, Way of Life. Well, same thing I say every week. Didn't work for me. This is the end of our little Maxwell part of the story, and just didn't work. I thought the part, like, you know, he's falling off the building, IG saves him, he falls, and Maxwell saves him. And I thought, okay, so to save him, by the way, he's falling from a god knows how high. So he grabs Haiji and like flips him on his, Maxwell's on his back and Haiji's on top of him. So he's, taking the blunt of the blow on the ground. So he lives that somehow. I know Maxwell's built different. I did read this story, guys. I know he's like a machine of a man, but that is just insane, especially after what he just went through. Like, how does he still have the fortitude to survive that fall? That is insane, with another dude on top of him. Oh my god. Whatever, he lives, he's fine, he's chilling, and he's gonna turn over a new leaf, I guess. I feel like this should work better than it does, but it just doesn't. I don't really feel much of anything for this character. No, I'm not saying he should have died. I feel like that'd be a really lame conclusion to the character. I don't know if this is the right call either. It just feels boring and predictable now. But at the same time, like, how else do you end this? I don't know. I have so many conflicting thoughts about this series that I can't even wrap my head around it. All in all, this Maxwell part of the story, look, it wasn't terrible. There were things to like about it, but on the whole, I just wasn't impressed or really even entertained all that much. It is what it is, man. I don't know. I wish I liked it more than I did, but I just don't. Blue Box Chapter 240, Because I Came to Ame. Really cool chapter for Haruto. This was like the slam dunk of the whole Haruto section here. I wasn't like completely on board, but this like really brought it all home and actually made me feel something for Haruto. I wasn't rooting for him by any means. No way. Taiki's gone so far and tried so hard. He needs to win this. But, it's cool to see Haruto do so well, and the fact that he's still young and has more years of school left, I think he'll do just fine. He'll be like the Taiki of the next generation or whatever. Yeah, this was probably the best badminton chapter this series has seen, to be honest. I think it even tops the Kyo match from earlier. This really worked. I quite liked it. The emotions were high. I was feeling for Haruto, which is something I've literally never done before, and I was pretty impressed. Shinobi Undercover Chapter 79, Bubble Kagura. Cool chapter. Not as exciting as it's been. Well, actually, in a way it is, because I know I've talked about it to death. Ichi is awesome. Love him. Love everything he brings to the table. Now we have Yotaka being like, guys, let's try something else. There's something to this guy. I don't want to just like beat him to a pulp and move on with our lives. We got to do something here. So they're putting their trust in Yotaka to come up with an alternative solution to this problem, which I thought is a really cool moment of just like leadership, I suppose. He's taking charge here. He is asking others to put their trust in him to solve the situation, even though they had and that's another thing that I really like about this, is they had a plan. They were going to take him down. They had a really solid plan to make it happen. And then he's just like, nope, hold on, guys. Let's stop. Please listen to me. That's cool as hell. I think that's a really neat decision to do something like that, like to commit to a plan and then be like, wait, nope, let's not do that. I thought this was a really fun chapter, and I'm excited to see how this situation plays out, because again, I know I keep talking about it, but Ichi is just awesome, and I really want to see him stick around in some regard. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I'm excited to see what it does look like. Me and Roboco Chapter 279, Golden Week and the Trio. This was a really funny one, actually. Got like Lord of the Flies, Roboco. I have a classic gorilla died gag, which always kills me, and even he's actually completely fine and alive in this case, which is rare, because usually he does actually die. A lot of One Piece references this week, which I thought were really funny, like Motsuo just turning into Nolan. Of all things, like, why Nolan? Why are we doing this? The faces are drawn really accurately. I was actually pretty impressed. And then also like telling all the locals of the island the story of One Piece and getting them hooked, wanting to know what's next. I think that's fun. Yeah, it comes off as like advertisey or whatever, but it's a fun idea. I don't know. I thought it was neat.
What are you doing, step bro?
Niue's Exorcist Chapter 143, Niue's Contractors. This may shock you. You might want to sit down. But I actually liked this chapter. I thought this was pretty cool, all things considered. I mean, for Niue standards, mind you. But regardless, this was a cool chapter. It's really neat action. The thing they do with like the all black background and like the white silhouettes of the characters, I thought looked really neat. Gekka's a far more interesting character than Gakuro ever has been, so there's that. She's easier to root for, that's for sure. So that helps. And the antagonist, I mean, there's no depth to him by any means, but he is cool looking and has a cool vibe, I suppose. I actually enjoyed this chapter. I had a good time with it. The only thing is the end, it's making me think that, like, are we just gonna do another, like, Gekka rescue arc? Is that what we're about to do? Because it feels like he's gonna take her away and then they're gonna have to rescue her. Maybe they'll subvert expectations, but if that's really what happens, then I think that's gonna be a pretty stupid decision. But this is New Way after all. Can't have a good chapter without something going wrong. So I will not be surprised if this does go in that direction. But hey, for what it was, on its own, pretty good chapter. Can't deny it. Kinato's Magic Chapter 13, Recovery. This was a lot better than it's been, which isn't saying a whole lot, I suppose, but it does feel more like it did at the beginning, which I appreciate. I thought the moment of Linnea, I don't think I've said her name before, but when she's finally back, by the way, when she starts crying, just relieved that he's okay, I thought that was really sweet. Nice little moment. And then just some fun shenanigans ensue afterwards with Zio, who I've become a lot more endeared to. I think he's actually a really fun character, especially now that we get to see his quirks in a non-serious or non-action focused environment. It still just has that lingering vibe of, like, I don't think it's gonna be able to stick around. I mean, it is near the bottom of the TOC, not as low as Alien Headbutt, which is so unfortunate. But it is what it is, and it's just not doing anything in this chapter to make me feel like it's gonna stick around. When it does get serious in this chapter, it's just incredibly basic and still like My Hero Academia-esque stuff, or even like Demon Slayer, I guess you could say. It's the classic, like, I want to protect my friends, I want to be stronger, yada yada, whatever, you know, classic shonen stuff. But doesn't really feel right in this series, and especially with Kinato. It doesn't feel like that should be the character arc he goes on. It's so early, quote unquote, even though we're probably going to end in the next, like, I don't know, 10 chapters or so, that I don't really know his character, I guess. But it just still just doesn't sit right with me. I guess the end stuff is kind of cool. We'll see this warrior clan of all women, apparently. So neat. Sounds fun. Why not? See how it goes. At least it was better than the last few chapters. I can at least say that confidently. Alien Headbutt Chapter 12, Soldier Factory. I really like that the needle guy is actually just named Needle Boy. That's really funny. But beyond that, the Little May situation. What? Why? This was actually upsetting to me. Like, I really liked the Little May design that we had with an actual goat, and now to just turn her into, like, an anime girl is devastating. Why have we done this? What kind of decision is this? I was really bummed out and disappointed by that. I wanted just like a fun goat sidekick. Why'd we do this? Maybe it's for sales reasons. They figured introducing like a cute girl would boost sales and popularity. That's like actually very possible. But I'm not into it. That was very disappointing. Can't lie. I've been glazing this series, but that's a bad call. I did not like that. Her attitude is at least fun, I guess, but I don't really want this to be the case. Yeah, this is definitely the most aimless feeling chapter so far. It didn't feel as focused or as well thought out, honestly, as the rest of the series has been. So that was a big bummer. Definitely the chapter I've enjoyed the least. And that's sad, because I've been really liking the series, so I hate to see it go down a route that I'm not too crazy about. It can still win me over, but this one just felt unfocused and unpolished. And just like, again, that Little May thing is just, why? What in the world? That's so random, dude. Oh my god. Whatever. Obviously, I'm still very much on board with the series, and I'm going to be very sad when it's inevitably canceled, but we're not there yet. And honestly, it could somehow shit the bed and ruin itself in the last few chapters anyway, so maybe I won't feel bad. That's a lie, though. I will feel bad. Worst chapter yet, but I don't know. Whatever. It was still fine enough, I suppose. Needle Boy was good. That's all that matters. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for Weekly Shonen Jump 2026, issue number 22/23. This was a solid issue of Jump. I thought there was a lot of solid stuff, but there was nothing that was like blow your mind amazing, which is why I really struggled with Chapter of the Week this week, actually. Like, this is the longest I've spent thinking about what is my Chapter of the Week, because nothing really stood out above the rest this week, that's exactly what I say every time I lead into the Chapter of the Week segment. Like, this chapter stood out amongst the rest. Nothing did. They all felt like on the same level except the ones that were below it. Nothing broke past that like upper echelon of quality, which is crazy. That's not really a bad thing. It was a consistent read. Like this, it was a fun to read issue. I didn't really have any complaints, but it just made for a really difficult chapter of the week choice. And I didn't just want to default to Akane-banashi because while I did like that chapter a lot, it doesn't feel like chapter of the week material this time. It really didn't. I did like it, but again, it just, I don't know, this one didn't hit that level. Maybe next week or the week after, I guess. So my chapter of the week this week, hesitantly, but still, this is my choice, goes to Blue Box Chapter 240 because I came to anime. I think this is probably the chapter this week that made me feel the most, and I gotta give it a lot of props for making me feel for Haruto, because that's a character I have not cared about pretty much at all throughout the entire run of this series, and to now actually make it feel like he had a complete character arc and made me not root for him exactly, but feel bad that he lost is impressive. That's quite a feat for me personally. If you're already on board with Haruto, maybe this didn't hit as hard, or maybe it hit harder, I don't know. But for me, I was very impressed with how they handled this, how Miura handled this whole thing, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Good chapter. I'm not as glowing about it as I would be other chapter of the weeks, but that's just this issue. I don't know, it was a weird one for me. Very hard to pick a favorite this week. A lot of other good ones that I could have picked. I mean, Shinobi Undercover was really great too, but this one just felt the most like, I can call this chapter of the week. It's like a contained thing. It was a finale to something. Feels right, at least as right as it can. I don't know. That's my choice, no going back. All right, well, next week, we got nothing. There's nothing. I will be uploading a video though on this around the same time, Monday, Sunday, around that time. So let me know what you want to see. I have other ideas in my own head if you have nothing that you want to see in particular, but there will be something, whether it's a suggestion or not. And Jump Press event, again, is happening for me in like, I don't know, less than 24 hours, 12 hours, whatever, like late tonight, early tomorrow. So I will cover it at some point during the week. We'll go over all the news. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment with your thoughts on this issue. Let me know your favorite chapter of the week, your least favorite chapter of the week, or anything else you want to tell me about from this issue. Remember, you can also become a channel member at 3 tiers. You can click the join button to see which tier works best for you. You can get things like emotes, early access to new videos, exclusive monthly videos, name in the credits, and if you join at the highest tier, you will get your name read out loud right now. So thank you to DJ Tengen, Milu Kitty, Braden Farrell, Halfpipe, Rafker, The Cosmere 64, Cosmic, Key to the Skies, Iliadis, Noobs Rock, Dan, and The World's Worst. Thank you all so much for your support, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in whatever you decide to watch next. Take it easy, guys.